Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I know it's been long since I posted a video here, and that is because I've been on and off due to health issues. But I did a series on Instagram called Study Abroad Application Process Series. In this series I shared some steps that you need to take when you apply to schools abroad. I'm saying some steps because that series is not yet done because I took a pause. But I decided that I wanted to share the same content here on YouTube, and with YouTube it's going to be a bit lengthier and a bit more detailed because with Instagram the video length is a bit shorter. So that is why I decided to do this video here. And if you're interested to know the steps that you need to follow when applying to schools abroad for admission and for scholarship, then make sure that you stay tuned till the end of this video. And now let's get down with the first step. Okay, I know applying to schools abroad may seem overwhelming, and sometimes honestly it is, but that is because most of people do not know the steps to follow which can yield them the desired results. And in this step-by-step process that I'm going to be sharing with you, you are going to be able to eliminate a lot of stress and a lot of burden on your shoulders, because following this framework is going to help you get the results that you've been aiming for, that I've been looking for. And I hope this video is going to be valuable to you, and I hope that you're going to get admission and scholarship that you've been looking for. So if this is something that is very interesting to you, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and make sure that you like this video and share it with your friends so that a lot more people can be able to find admissions and scholarships to schools abroad. So the first step that you need to do, or you need to follow if you want to apply to schools abroad, is what I would like to call explore your options step. So this first step is called explore your options. And the reason why I call it explore your options is because for you to study abroad, you need to know what courses you want to study, and you need to be sure of these courses, or maybe even if you're not sure, but at least have an idea of what you want to study once accepted abroad. And obviously before even being accepted, when you apply, you need to state this course that you want to do. So either applying as an undergraduate student or as a graduate student, you need to know what you want to study. So that is why the first step is explore your options. So you explore the courses that you want to do with this school that you're applying for. And let's say you're applying to 5 schools, you explore your options with all these 5 schools that you want to study with, or you want to send your applications to, and hopefully that one school will be the schools that you select to attend with. So with exploring your options, I know a lot of people for the most part, a lot of people will just be focused on one course, like I want to do human resources, or I want to do water management, but there will be a lot more options available in that line, in that career path. So with schools abroad, majority of schools, when you apply, they ask you to have at least 3 options. They will ask you what's your first choice option, and let's say it's human resource, and then they'll also ask what's your second choice option, and let's say it's procurement, or let's say it's project management. Then you list that up, and then maybe the third option would be, I don't know, anything to do with management. So usually I recommend that people have at least 3 options, so that when they apply, they are not stranded on the first step, which is exploring your option. And this step usually entails filling in this information that I just mentioned. So with this step, once you've jotted down the courses that you want to do, or once you're a little bit certain of what you want to study, then you can jot down these courses down, so that when you apply, your application is just a smooth ride. So once you're done with this first task, the second task that you need to do is, now that you know what you want to study, you need to know the schools that you want to study with. I know it's a little bit tricky, especially if you don't know the schools in the country that you're targeting. So let's make an example. Let's say you want to study in the United States and you don't have a clue of the schools that are available there. And I believe the first thing that you want to do is go to Google and Google schools in the US. And with that, it's still a lot of information that it's a lot to sieve, and it's a lot to shortlist. So obviously with me, I have experience of schools abroad. I already know which schools are in which state in the US, and honestly how many schools there are in the US all in all 50 states. So for somebody who is new to the application process and somebody who doesn't know which schools to pick and why, usually what I would recommend you to do, in as much as it's going to still be a lengthier process for you, but it's going to eliminate a lot of stress. So what I would want you to do is, if you are targeting schools that offer funding, and for that matter full scholarships, you should go to this website called College Board. If you are an undergraduate student, you should go to College Board, and you should go, once on College Board, go to CSS profile. Once on CSS profile, just go and check the list of schools that work with CSS profile, that are affiliated with CSS profile, because all those schools offer full scholarships to international students. The second option that you can do is as an undergraduate student, what you should do is go to third-party application sites, which schools use in the US when you apply for admission. These third-party application sites are Common Application and Coalition Application. So for people who would be targeting schools in, say, UK or Europe, they use what we call UCAS. So all those are the third-party platforms that allow you to apply to schools using just one application. So they can allow you to apply to, say, 20 schools using just one application. So you go to these platforms and look at the school list that are, look at the schools that use these platforms for their application processes. I know this one is a little bit trickier because with schools on Common Application or schools on Coalition Application or schools on UCAS, not all schools offer full scholarships. So you need to know which schools to select and why. So the third thing that you can do is just go to Google and type in schools in the state that you are targeting. So let's say you are targeting schools in Texas, for example. Then you would just Google list of schools in Texas. So they'll show you all the schools in Texas, and what you can do is you can go through each individual school to see if they have options that you want in that school. And I'll explain a little bit more with this criterion as we move along this video. So now that your task is selecting the schools, I usually recommend that people select 10 schools to apply to. Why 10? Because 10 is a manageable number, and you'll be able to do all the steps that you need to follow for each individual school. Okay, so when selecting these 10 schools, this is a framework that I would want you to use. When selecting your schools, you should look into these three main criterion, or these three main options that your schools should fall under. So the first option is your schools should be made of, in fact, let me call this a list. Your schools should be made of this list. The first is rich schools, the second is reality schools, and the third is safety schools. So let me explain this. With rich schools, these are schools that you would dream of going there. They're also called trim schools, rich schools or trim schools. Those are the schools that you would wish to attend, but you know that their application processes is a bit selective, but you would wish to attend the school, and if accepted, that would be like your trim school, right? The second option is reality school. With reality schools, these are schools that you are sure you'll get accepted, because obviously reality schools, you are being realistic with the application process. You know you meet their application criterion, you meet their eligibility requirements, and you are way above the minimum requirements for enrollment in that school. So these are your reality schools. So your list should also compose of reality schools. And the third option is safety schools. Safety schools are schools that you know for sure you're going to be accepted, and you know that your qualifications are way beyond admissions requirements, and you know, you're 100% certain that these schools are going to accept you. So your list should compose of those sections or those options: dream schools or rich schools, reality schools, and safety schools. So in this way, you'll be able to shortlist your schools so that you know your list is not long, and so that maybe you stick to 10 schools, or let's say 9 schools, so that maybe you pick 3 for each option. So that will make your life easy, and that will make your shortlisting process easier. So now that you know what you need to do when you select schools, let's move on to the next things that you need to follow. And remember, we are still on the first step that you need to follow if you want to apply to schools abroad. So once you know the course that you want to study, and now you know the schools that you want to study with, it's then that you should look into each individual school and double check that really the admission criterion for the school will not put you in danger of, say, not being accepted into the school, or will put you in a position where maybe you'll get accepted but then you'll not be offered scholarship. So what you need to do now is look into each individual school and check that you meet the eligibility criterion. Check that you jot down all the requirements for each individual school, and by requirements I want you to highlight the important timelines. And by important timelines, I mean things like deadlines for the application process, deadlines for submitting supporting documents, deadlines for their admission decisions once everything has been done and once they've reviewed your application. So you need to be sure of those deadlines for each individual school. And the second thing is to know the documentation that needs to be sent to the schools once your application has been submitted. So when you apply, majority of schools, especially in the US, you don't need to upload any additional materials on the application form, but these documents come after you submitted the application. And this goes for undergraduate students and graduate students, as well as postgraduate students like bachelor's, master's, and PhD. They follow the same process. You submit your application and supporting documents come after. So make sure you know the supporting documents that you need to submit, and make sure that you know the deadlines that they need to be submitted by, so that your application file is complete, and so that the admissions team can be able to review your application, issue your application decision, and hopefully admission decision that is desirable to what you were looking for, and then with the scholarship package. So when it comes to the scholarship, you're going to follow the same criterion. You're going to apply to scholarships, but for most schools, when you apply for admission, you're already automatically considered for merit-based scholarships, so you don't need to submit an additional application form. But for those who seek need-based funding, which is also categorized as full funding or full scholarship, most schools would require you to submit additional application, and this application will be solely for financial aid purposes. So you need to submit your application, and you need to make sure that the criterion for that scholarship, you meet the criterion and you meet the eligibility requirements for that scholarship. And once everything is in order, then you can fill in the application form. And usually with schools that offer full scholarships for undergraduate level, they would use CSS profile to profile your financial application form. So that's like the application form that you need to submit if you are an undergraduate student seeking full scholarship. And because with the US citizens, they file what is called FAFSA, but for international students, you guys file what is called CSS profile, which I did mention in the beginning of this video, that schools that in affiliation with CSS profile offer full scholarships. I know some schools would have like additional forms aside of CSS profile that you can use to apply for financial aid. And with CSS profile, there are fees related that you need to pay for this application form to be submitted to the schools. Remember, CSS profile is a third-party platform. It's not the school's application form. College Board is this platform, and CSS is within College Board. So there are fees, obviously administration fees, to facilitate the application. This application form to go to the school that you're applying for. But some schools have an option that you can use to bypass the fees related to CSS profile. The first option is to ask for a CSS profile waiver code. So schools know that some students are not in a financial capacity to pay these fees related to applying to schools abroad. So what they do is, if you tell them your situation, obviously because they can't assume you won't be able to pay. So if you tell them that I am not able to pay this fee in as much as I want to apply to the schools, or in as much as I want to apply to your school, are you able to offer me a CSS profile waiver code? Most schools are able to do that, and once they issue you the code, you can use that code as your payment option. So you insert the code once you get to the payment step, and then obviously your payment will equate to zero, or will be $0 because the school will have paid for you. The other option is to ask for a form called ISFA. So ISFA is an alternative for CSS profile that you can submit to the schools for your application, financial application. So ISFA is a short for International Student Financial Application Form. That's right. So ISFA, like I did say, it's International Student Financial Application Form that you can fill in to send to schools that require CSS. So if, say, the school says we can't offer you a CSS waiver code, then what you could do is ask for an alternative, ask to send ISFA to the school, and usually they don't have a problem with that, especially if you tell them with honesty your story, your challenge with sending CSS profile. So that is that regarding applying to schools abroad with the first step. And I hope that you found this video helpful. Once again, if you did, remember to give this video a big thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to this channel and share this video with other people who may benefit from what I shared in this video. And I hope to see you again on my next video. Until next time, bye.